There is a disturbing possibility hidden behind many of the decisions you believe are entirely your own. Some of the thoughts that feel most personal may have been shaped by people who are no longer even part of your life. A parent's disappointment can survive long after childhood. A former partner's criticism can quietly become the standard by which you measure yourself. One painful experience can continue influencing your choices decades later, even when you no longer remember where the pattern began. The mind does not simply remember relationships, it internalizes them. Over time, someone no longer needs to criticize you because you have learned to anticipate the criticism yourself. Their judgment enters the decision before you have even discovered what you actually want. Eventually, the voice becomes so familiar that you stop recognizing where it came from. You begin calling it caution, responsibility, maturity, or simply who you are. But what if part of your personality was built around avoiding rejection, preserving approval, or proving something to someone who is no longer watching? There is an even more surprising part of this mechanism. The people who occupy the most space in your mind are not always the ones who hurt you. Sometimes they are the people you cannot stop admiring, missing, resenting, or trying to understand. And the reason they remain there may have far less to do with them than with something inside you that they came to represent. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal may change the way you understand your mind, your relationships, and some of the choices you have been repeating for years without knowing why. From this point on, you do not need to keep looking at me. Let your body become comfortable and allow your shoulders to relax. Close your eyes if you can. Take one slow breath in and let it go. Then another. You do not need to silence the world around you. Just let it become less important for a moment. For the rest of this conversation, simply listen. Because what matters now is not the person speaking to you. It is what you may finally recognize within yourself. The people who influence your mind are not limited to those who hurt you in obvious ways. It may be a father whose approval still matters more than you admit, a mother whose anxiety became the emotional atmosphere in which you learned to make decisions, or a brother or sister whose comparisons quietly shape the way you measure your own value. It can also be a boyfriend, a husband, a friend, a teacher, a boss, a colleague, or simply someone you spend enough time with that their reactions begin to matter inside you. Almost anyone we live with, love, admire, fear, depend on, work beside, or repeatedly respond to can leave a psychological imprint. This does not mean these people are intentionally controlling you. Most influence is far more subtle. It develops through repetition. You learn which behaviors create approval, which ones produce distance, what brings recognition, what causes tension, and what helps the relationship return to balance. The mind remembers these patterns and eventually begins anticipating them. After enough time, a father does not need to criticize your decision because you already know what he would say. A mother does not need to show disappointment because you can already imagine her expression. A partner does not need to ask you to change your plans because you have become skilled at predicting what might happen emotionally if you do not. The person moves from the outside world into the inner one. That is when influence becomes difficult to recognize. You may continue to see yourself as completely independent. No one is forcing you to do anything, and yet your behavior keeps adjusting around invisible expectations. Perhaps a brother once treated your dreams as unrealistic, and now every important idea is followed by a quiet suspicion that you are being naive. Maybe a friend used to mock the way you expressed yourself, and years later, you still edit your personality before entering certain rooms. A demanding boss may have made every mistake feel like evidence of incompetence, and even after leaving that job, the pressure continues inside you. A former partner may have questioned your attractiveness. The relationship ended, but their judgment remained. A husband may become emotionally distant whenever you disagree. He never explicitly tells you what you are allowed to think, yet over time you begin avoiding certain subjects because you already know what tension will follow. This is how psychological influence becomes self-sustaining. The other person no longer needs to repeat the original behavior. You have already learned the pattern, and this can happen inside relationships that contain genuine love. A father may love you deeply while still transmitting fear. A partner can care for you and still influence your behavior through their own insecurity. A friend can be important to you while also becoming a source of comparison. Human beings affect one another constantly. The deeper question is whether you can still recognize your own inner position while all of that influence is present. That is one of the central tasks of psychological maturity. The mind does not become crowded all at once. At first, you simply consider another person. That is normal. Then anticipation begins. With enough repetition, anticipation becomes automatic, and eventually you stop noticing that a decision has already been edited before it reaches full consciousness. You may believe you chose freely, but perhaps the choice was already narrowed by what your mother might think, how your husband might react, what your boss could interpret, or what your friend might say. This is why the simple question, "What do I actually want?" can become surprisingly difficult. The problem may not be that you have no desire. It may be that too many voices arrive before your own has time to form. A person can become so skilled at adapting that adaptation no longer feels like adaptation. It begins to feel like identity. This is where Jung's concept of the persona becomes important. The persona is the social face through which we function in the world. It allows us to participate in family life, work, friendship, and society. There is nothing inherently false about it. The problem begins when the role created to preserve belonging becomes stronger than the person beneath it. Imagine someone who grew up with a mother who became overwhelmed easily. The child learned not to bring too much difficulty into the room. Years later, that child may become an adult who is exceptionally easy to live with, rarely asks for much, notices tension immediately, and is praised for being understanding. Those qualities may be real, but beneath them, an older psychological rule may still be operating. If I become difficult, connection becomes unsafe. Now imagine a different childhood. Perhaps a father valued achievement and expressed pride most clearly around success. He did not need to be cruel. The child simply learned that accomplishment brought emotional closeness. Decades later, the adult works constantly and calls it discipline. Perhaps it is discipline, but part of the energy may still be directed toward the father whose recognition once felt conditional. This is what makes unconscious influence so difficult to separate from personality. The behavior may be useful, the quality may even be admired. The hidden question is whether you are free not to perform it. If rest creates guilt, your relationship with productivity may not be entirely free. If disagreement produces fear, your kindness may contain more than kindness. When saying no immediately creates an urge to explain yourself, the boundary may be touching something older than the present situation. The unconscious often reveals itself through reactions that seem larger than the event in front of us. Suppose your boss asks you to revise part of a project. The correction is reasonable, yet your body responds as though something far more serious has happened. For the rest of the day, you question your competence. The boss may have activated an older complex around failure or authority. A friend takes longer than usual to answer a message, and without any clear evidence that something is wrong, your mind begins reviewing the entire friendship. Silence may already carry an emotional meaning that was learned somewhere else. A husband becomes irritated after you make a decision for yourself. Intellectually, you understand that adults can disagree, but something inside you immediately wants to restore harmony. The present moment has activated an older emotional arrangement. Jung used the term complex to describe emotionally charged clusters of experiences, memories, expectations, and beliefs that can become activated by something happening now. When a complex is triggered, the present may suddenly feel much larger than it is. You are no longer responding only to the person in front of you. An entire history has entered the room. The boss becomes connected to an old fear of disappointing authority. Your partner's silence touches the memory of emotional withdrawal. A friend's success awakens years of comparison with a sibling. The current person becomes the doorway through which an older pattern enters. This is one reason some relationships affect us much more intensely than others. It is not always because those people are more important. Sometimes they simply touch a highly charged part of the psyche. Once that happens, projection becomes easier. A boss may begin to represent authority itself. A partner can start carrying your sense of worth. A friend's success may become a measurement of your own failure. A parent's approval can become almost indistinguishable from your sense of being good enough. The person outside you becomes attached to an inner meaning. Then you are no longer reacting only to what they do. You begin reacting to what they represent. This helps explain why some people continue occupying the mind long after a relationship has changed. A former boyfriend may no longer be part of your life, yet he still represents the feeling of being chosen. Your mother may have stopped questioning your decisions years ago, but her old anxiety can still appear every time you take a risk. A sibling may no longer compare themselves with you, while you continue experiencing their success through the emotional structure created in childhood. The mind does not automatically update simply because circumstances change. It tends to repeat what it has learned until a different experience becomes conscious enough to challenge the pattern. Sometimes the first sign of this influence is not even a clear thought. It appears as obligation. You feel that you should call, explain, stay available, forgive quickly, choose the safer option, or avoid disappointing someone. The word should often carries an invisible relationship. Some obligations genuinely reflect your values. Others belong to old emotional agreements. A useful distinction can be found in what happens when no one is watching. A true value usually remains meaningful on its own. An inherited psychological rule often becomes most powerful when you imagine someone else's reaction. This becomes especially visible in intimate relationships. A boyfriend or husband does not need to openly control your choices for his emotional reactions to become influential. If every independent decision is met with withdrawal, irritation, sarcasm, or distance, you may gradually begin avoiding certain choices. The person never has to say, "Do not do that." The relationship itself teaches you what happens when you do. Friendships can develop similar structures. A relationship may function smoothly because one person is always the listener, the helper, or the one who adapts. When that person eventually asks for more space, the friendship suddenly feels unstable. Neither person may have consciously created the arrangement. The roles simply became familiar. The same dynamic can remain after a work relationship ends. A demanding boss may be internalized so deeply that you continue hearing their standards long after leaving the company. You work late even when no one expects it, treat every mistake as dangerous, and experience rest as something that must be earned. The physical boss is gone. The internal boss remains. This is why freedom cannot be measured only by external circumstances. Someone can leave a controlling relationship and continue controlling themselves in exactly the same way. They can quit a demanding job and reproduce the same pressure internally. They can move far away from their family and still ask for imaginary permission before important decisions. External separation matters. Internal separation requires another process. Jung called that larger movement individuation. Individuation does not mean cutting yourself off from everyone who influenced you. It does not require your family, partner, friends, or community to stop mattering. It means developing enough inner differentiation that relationship no longer requires psychological disappearance. You can love your mother without turning her anxiety into the direction of your life. Your father's opinion can matter without becoming a verdict on your worth. A sibling's criticism can be heard without becoming part of your identity. A partner can disagree with you without forcing you to abandon your position. A friend can choose a different path without making yours less valid. A boss can evaluate your work without defining your value as a person. Living this is much harder than understanding it intellectually. When an old pattern begins changing, guilt often appears. Suppose you have always been the person who solves family problems. The first time you allow someone else to carry their own responsibility, you may feel selfish. If your identity was built around being constantly available to a partner, spending an evening alone can feel almost like emotional abandonment, even when nothing harmful is happening. The discomfort may be intense, but discomfort is not always proof that the new behavior is wrong. Sometimes it is only proof that the behavior is unfamiliar. The nervous system remembers the old consequences. It expects rejection, criticism, conflict, withdrawal, or some form of lost belonging. The body prepares for what used to happen even when the present situation is different. This is why psychological growth often feels uncomfortable before it begins to feel natural. A new way of relating can initially seem dangerous because the old pattern once served a purpose. What matters is not eliminating discomfort immediately. What matters is understanding what the discomfort is connected to. That understanding creates the possibility of choice. Without awareness, you simply react. With awareness, a pause becomes possible. Imagine that your mother expresses disappointment about one of your decisions. The old pattern may immediately produce guilt and an urge to reverse the choice. Awareness allows you to hear her disappointment while also noticing what is happening inside you. You do not need to become cold or argue. You simply stop treating her emotional reaction as unquestionable proof that your decision is wrong. The same applies to a partner. They may genuinely dislike a boundary you establish. Their discomfort deserves to be heard, but hearing someone is not the same thing as surrendering to them. Psychological differentiation allows two realities to exist inside the same relationship. You can understand another person's reaction without abandoning your own need. This is one of the foundations of mature intimacy. When differentiation is weak, closeness easily becomes fusion. You lose track of where your responsibility ends and another person's begins. Over time, resentment often appears. Resentment can reveal places where adaptation has gone too far. Perhaps you repeatedly agreed to things you did not want. Maybe you remained available because you were afraid of appearing selfish. You took care of someone and quietly hoped that care would guarantee closeness. From the outside, the relationship may look generous. Underneath it, an invisible contract can begin forming. You give and expect recognition. You sacrifice and hope for loyalty. You remain easy to be with because some part of you believes that being easy will make the relationship safer. The other person may not even know this agreement exists. Then disappointment grows. This does not mean generosity is manipulation. Human motives are often mixed. You can genuinely care for someone while also hoping that your care protects you from rejection. Consciousness allows both truths to exist. This is where shadow work becomes relevant. The shadow contains more than anger, jealousy, cruelty, or aggression. It also contains needs and qualities that conflict with the identity we prefer to maintain. Someone who believes they are completely selfless may have difficulty admitting how much they want appreciation. A person who takes pride in independence may hide a deep wish to be cared for. Someone known for being calm can carry years of unexpressed anger. When these parts remain unconscious, other people often become the place where we encounter them. A colleague who openly protects their time may seem selfish because you have spent years overextending yourself. Someone who asks directly for attention can seem demanding because you were taught never to ask. A person who openly pursues ambition may irritate you because your own ambition was buried. This does not mean every criticism is projection. It means your reaction may contain information about you as well. If another person seems unusually powerful inside your mind, there is something worth understanding. They may be carrying a judgment you fear, representing a quality you want, activating an old complex, or giving you access to an identity that you have difficulty experiencing on your own. Romantic relationships often reveal this very clearly. A partner's desire can become tied to your sense of attractiveness. Their attention becomes proof that you matter. Their confidence becomes the source of your security. Then distance feels terrifying because more than the relationship seems to be at risk. Part of your identity feels threatened. This is why people can remain psychologically attached to someone long after they know the relationship is over. The person has become associated with something internal. Letting go then requires more than separation. It requires reclaiming what the relationship came to represent. If someone made you feel valuable, the deeper work is not convincing them to return. It is understanding how your value became dependent on their recognition. If a friend's success constantly makes you feel smaller, comparison may be pointing toward a part of your own life that you have neglected. When a boss's approval becomes essential, it may be worth asking when authority acquired so much power over your sense of competence. The question changes from how to stop someone from affecting you to what inside you gives their reaction so much authority. That question is more difficult. It is also the one that gives power back to you. As projection begins to withdraw, the people around you gradually return to human size. A father stops being the final judge of your worth and becomes a man shaped by his own limitations. Your mother's anxiety can be understood without becoming your destiny. A sibling becomes someone with a separate path rather than a permanent comparison. A partner becomes someone you can love without turning them into the source of your identity. A friend can be admired without becoming proof that your own life is inadequate. A boss can be respected without becoming an internal authority who follows you home. Nothing has to become hostile. You are simply restoring psychological proportion. If these reflections are helping you recognize influences you have carried without realizing it, stay with Jung before sleep. These conversations are meant to create this kind of quiet space where patterns that seem ordinary during the day become easier to recognize at night. Sometimes, however, a person remains inside your mind because you are still waiting for something from them. An apology, recognition, permission, regret. or an admission that you were right. A father may never say the words you wanted to hear. A mother may never understand why certain experiences hurt you. A former partner may never regret leaving. A friend may never recognize everything you gave. A boss may never admit that they treated you unfairly. Wanting these moments is understandable, but waiting for them also keeps the relationship psychologically active. Part of your life remains suspended because the past has not given you the ending you wanted. At some point, freedom may require accepting that the other person will never provide the final piece. This is not simplistic forgiveness. It is not pretending that what happened was acceptable. It is refusing to make your future dependent on another person, eventually becoming different. That acceptance can involve grief. You grieve what happened and also what may never happen. The conversation you hoped for, the recognition you wanted, or the relationship you imagined might someday become what you needed. Grief releases a form of psychological waiting, and when waiting begins to end, energy returns. The mind becomes quieter. An old voice may still appear, but now you can recognize it as old. A parent's fear may arise without becoming your instruction. A former partner's criticism may still sting without defining your worth. This is how inner authority develops. Not by becoming immune to influence, by becoming conscious of it. There is a practical way to begin noticing this in your own life. Over the next few days, choose one small decision that usually creates unnecessary hesitation. Nothing dramatic. Perhaps you want to decline an invitation, spend an evening alone, express a preference, take a break, buy something you genuinely want, or say no to a request. Before explaining your decision to anyone, pause. Notice whose reaction appears in your imagination. It may be your mother, your father, a brother or sister, your boyfriend, your husband, a friend, your boss, or someone from the past. Perhaps no specific person appears at all. You simply feel the presence of an invisible audience. Once you notice it, do not try to silence the voice. Simply separate it from your own. Then ask yourself quietly, if this person had no opinion about my choice, what would I prefer? You do not need to follow the answer immediately. The point is to hear it. You are creating a few seconds in which your own position can exist before everyone else enters the room. That space is the beginning of psychological freedom. Over time, some choices may remain exactly the same. That is useful. It means another person's influence and your own values may genuinely agree. Other decisions will begin to feel different. Something you once called responsibility may reveal a layer of fear. An obligation may turn out to be an old family role. A relationship pattern that seemed mysterious can suddenly become easier to understand. You may discover that another person's disappointment has been carrying far more authority than you realized. There is no need to change everything at once. The unconscious was shaped through repetition. A new relationship with yourself will also be built through repetition. Each time you notice an old voice before automatically obeying it, something changes. The goal is not to remove your father, mother, siblings, partner, friends, bosses, or anyone else from your mind. Human beings are formed through relationship. The goal is to stop confusing their voices with your entire identity. The people around you can influence you. They can teach you, challenge you, encourage you, disappoint you, and even change the direction of your life. But there is a profound difference between being influenced and being psychologically governed. That difference is consciousness. Perhaps this is the hidden answer behind the question we began with. The mind begins to feel as though it belongs to other people when their reactions become more authoritative than your own inner experience. The way back is not isolation. It is learning to remain connected without disappearing. Tonight, nothing else needs to be solved. Allow one recognition to be enough. Perhaps you already know whose voice is loudest inside you. It may belong to someone you love deeply or to someone who has been gone for many years. Either way, begin noticing the difference between respecting that voice and automatically living according to it. Tomorrow, try the small practice. Choose one ordinary decision and give yourself a moment before seeking reassurance. Allow your own response to form first. That pause may seem insignificant, but psychologically it is not. The moment you can hear an inherited voice without immediately treating it as a command, your relationship with the unconscious has already begun to change. And if someone came to mind while you were listening tonight, Someone who may also be carrying a parent's expectations, a partner's judgment, a friend's comparison, or the voice of someone who still occupies far too much space inside them. Send this video to that person. They may hear something here that helps them recognize what they have been carrying. For now, let the day end. You do not need to remove anyone from your mind tonight. Simply begin noticing who is there. And little by little, you may discover that hearing your own voice does not require silencing everyone else. It only requires learning which voice gets to decide.